Welcome back, everybody. We're here to pull cards for April the 23rd. Happy Sunday, everybody. I am going to be pulling one card for overall energy. After that, I'll pull one card for each sign. We'll look at how those work together to come up with our predictions for the day. Let's see what comes up. We've got a lot of energy moving because I'm still shuffling, not really feeling the need to stop just yet. So there's a lot of energy shifting around today for sure. Just means there's a lot of things to talk about. Sacred Spirit may be having a hard time prioritizing what's the most important thing we should talk about today. Let's see, here we go. Eight of Wands. This talks about communication. Many short bursts of communication. A lot of times this is text messages, sometimes emails. Sometimes it's voice, but usually comes in as text messages because it's short little messages coming at us fast, and they can come in from all kinds of different directions, or they can be coming from one source. But we have a lot of different messages coming at us quickly today. Interesting. Let's see how this plays out for everybody. We're going to start, of course, with Aries. So Aries, 10 of Wands showing up in reverse. This talks to me about the idea that there's a lot of conversation or communication going back and forth between you and somebody else, maybe multiple somebody else's, about this idea of putting down some type of responsibility that you've been carrying. So you may be looking for coverage, somebody to cover for you while you're doing something else instead of this responsibility, or maybe you're just debating with somebody if it's a good idea for you to stop carrying this responsibility now. But we've got a lot of communication about the idea of letting go of or putting down some type of thing that you have been responsible for. Okay. Next up, we're looking at Taurus. And so Taurus, you guys have the Fool showing up in reverse. This is interesting because this actually talks about this idea that these short bursts of fast communication that have been going on, that they are continuing. You may have even considered, do I want to keep this communication going or not? I'm not so sure that it's necessarily a good thing. Not so sure this is productive use of my time. And then you're deciding, yes, it is, and continue on with it. Next, we're looking at Gemini. Okay, so Geminis, you guys are showing up with the Four of Cups in reverse. Four of Cups showing up in reverse tells me that you've got a lot of communication going on that is helping you to come out of a pity party, or you could be encouraging somebody else to come out of a pity party and look around and see, well, look, there is a bright side here after all. Let's take a look at the bright side. The bright side. Cancer. You guys have the Two of Wands showing up in reverse. This just tells me that all this communication that's going back and forth between you and somebody else today has to do with a decision that you want to make. And this decision, really, there's not a bad choice, but it's difficult to make because there's nothing really that you want to let go of so that you can prioritize something else. So the decision is not so much about what you want to do, it's about what are you going to let go of and not do so you can actually make progress with the other thing. Next up, we're looking at Leo. Leo, you guys have the Empress showing up in reverse. Leo. So Leos, there's a lot of communication going on here about this idea of I'm going to say manifesting the opposite of what you really want. I think there's a lot of communication that's happening where you're talking about things that you don't really want. You're talking about things that make you anxious, things that make you afraid, things that are just unwanted in your life. There's all these messages going back and forth about that. And that's just exacerbating that anxiousness and that nervousness. It's feeding it, it's making it stronger, it's adding to that energy. So that's what we have showing up in the energy right now as I'm looking at these cards on the table. But good news is we have free will. So anybody who watches these can make my cards a liar, and that's fine with me. You're not going to see me complaining about that because sometimes we don't want what shows up in the cards. So now we have the heads up. We can shift that energy. That's what I would say. This is a good day to do that. So if you're having all kinds of communication talking about how something could turn out in a way that you don't want it to turn out, try to at least be aware that that's the path that you're walking down and that's the path where you're building up that energy so that it can happen. So that if you're aware of that, then maybe you can find a different path that's a little bit closer to the type of path you would like to walk on, because it's going to get you closer to what you would actually like to manifest in this situation rather than what you're anxious about bringing forward. Okay. So that was Leo. Next up, we're going to look at Virgo. Virgo, 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 Virgo. Virgos, you guys have the Sun card showing up in reverse. I guess I could show it to you, couldn't I? Sun card in reverse is just telling me, Virgos, that you're having a lot of communication with somebody about spending some time together and having a really good time. Maybe this is the same person you're spending time with. Maybe you're telling somebody else about it, but there's a lot of communication about this. Okay. So you're spending time together with somebody, or you're planning to spend some time together, or you have spent some time together with somebody and really enjoyed it. Both of you really enjoyed it. Okay. Today, we see a lot of communication about it. So if you're making plans, that could be this communication. If you're just reminiscing, that can be this communication. Either way, we've got a lot of communication going back and forth about a very pleasant time. Next up, we're looking at Libra. Libra, Libra, Libra. Okay, Libras. Ace of Pentacles showing up here for you guys. So there's a lot of messages going back and forth, a lot of talk, a lot of communication about a gift or an opportunity that you're receiving today. Okay? You are the one receiving it. Doesn't mean you couldn't be giving somebody that, but this is about you, the one that you're receiving. Next up, we're looking at Scorpio. Scorpios, Five of Pentacles showing up in reverse. A lot of communication today happening around this idea of loosening up the belt, loosening up the budget. Maybe talk about paying things off, something like that. Ba-ba-da-da-da-da. Yeah, I think I'm going to leave it right there. Next up, we're looking at Sagittarius. Both of my parents are Sagittarius, by the way. Okay, so Sagittarius, you guys have the Strength card showing up in reverse. I keep forgetting to show you guys the cards because I got used to the cards being on camera before. I apologize. Okay, so Sagittarius, Strength card in reverse. There's something going on that has you sort of taking a hit to your self-esteem today, Sagittarius. That's what I'm feeling there for you, Sagittarius, self-esteem. So here's the thing. When our self-esteem takes a hit, it's usually because somebody else is trying to tell us. Well, I don't know. We beat ourselves up pretty well too. But a lot of times it's when somebody else is trying to tell us we didn't do this right, or we didn't do that right, or we could have done this better, on and on and on. All right. If somebody's saying something like that to those of us with Sagittarius placements, it's going to be really important to evaluate the source there. First of all, is that source even genuine? Or are they just trying to cover up for something they could have done better? And so if they scapegoat you, then that makes them feel better. Generally, when we have this coming up, it's because other people are trying to put the blame on us for something that we had very little control over to start with. Even when it's us beating up on ourselves. So even if we catch ourselves beating up on ourselves, we still want to look at how much control did I really have over that situation? And start to allow ourselves to be more reasonable about what's really going on here. Not just buy into somebody else's irrationality because they want to cover up their mistakes. All right. Next, we're looking at Capricorn. Okay, Capricorn's Wheel of Fortune showing up here. We like this card. Wheel of Fortune. That's a good one. Just says where things have been difficult before, now they're starting to smooth out. Things are starting to fall in place more smoothly and more efficiently. Now there's a secret behind the Wheel of Fortune card because things don't just automatically just, oh, everything is great and falls into place. I've noticed that even when the astrology lines up with that, the previous astrology says that you were putting systems in place to make that happen. So there's some behind the scenes work. Before the Wheel of Fortune comes into effect, you guys were doing something to help things fall into place. Whether you're doing manifesting work or you were organizing your files or getting your website up to snuff or whatever it was that you were doing something so that things could start falling into place more easily. Can you tell I don't believe in luck? I think we make our own luck. And I think you have made your own luck here, Capricorn. Next up, we're looking at Aquarius. Aquarius. Oh, and by the way, Capricorn, I want to go back to you guys with that Eight of Batons and the overall energy along with this. This talks about a lot of messages about how lucky you are. Not everybody understands that we make our own luck. A lot of messages going back and forth about your luck. And you're involved in them. It's not like it's gossip or behind your back. All right, now let's look at Aquarius. Feel like I'm ready. Aquarius. Okay. So you guys have the Six of Batons showing up in reverse, along with that Eight of Batons and our overall energy. That just says there's a lot of communication going back and forth about how you don't feel appreciated. If you guys are having this communication with somebody who doesn't appreciate you, trying to help them to see why they should appreciate you, hang it up, man. If you've got to tell somebody why they need to appreciate you, they're never going to get it. You're going to have this same conversation in 2 weeks. Again. In 2 days. Again. Tomorrow. Again. If somebody can't see what there is to appreciate about you on their own, you could have this conversation on into eternity. And trust me, it's not going to be an easy little conversation either. It's going to be a debate with those people. All right. So if that's the person you're talking to about this, whew, I hope you've got some stamina. Now, if this is somebody else that you're talking to about this and you're just trying to get some advice about what you should do, or, if you should even remain in whatever this is where you're not being appreciated, maybe your job just doesn't pay you for the time and the energy and the effort that you put in. Maybe you're dating somebody or you have a partner that just really doesn't get it that you actually make sacrifices for the relationship. Whatever it is here, there's a lot of communication going on about this sense of not being appreciated and the idea of figuring out what am I going to do in this situation? Am I going to stay in this situation? Maybe some of you are going to stay in the situation for a while longer. But there's a lot of communication about that today. All right, let's look at Pisces. Pisces. Okay, so Pisces, you guys have the Seven of Swords showing up in reverse. For me, this is making a strategy or making a plan with that overall energy of short bursts of communication going back and forth. I do think you're working out a strategy or a plan with somebody else. You could even be negotiating something with somebody else. But definitely, this is all mental stuff, planning, strategy, negotiation. And it's going back and forth between you and somebody else. So you're working on this together with someone else. This isn't just you doing this on your own. Okay. So that's what I've got for everybody today. Thank you all so much for being here. I really do appreciate you guys spending some of your precious time with me. Looking forward to being of service to you whenever that next time might happen to be. Today I'm just doing readings online, either on the phone or on Skype. So if you need one, just get a hold of me. Of course, remember here on YouTube, you guys are my sponsor. So please put a thumbs up, share this video, and put a comment down below. All that stuff actually helps my logarithm and helps this video to be served out to the world. And then last but not least, thank you for all of your support, and everybody have a fantastic day. Peace out.